Michael mentioned one thing that's actually pretty true is there's a lot of bets being made out there, General Motors being one of them. Betting a lot on our investment, betting a lot on our people. We are hiring a considerable amount of engineers, technologists, chemists, chemical engineering, finance guys to really staff up and support this. We've been hiring all the way through our troubles last year, and we'll continue on as we move forward because we think this bet is worth it, and we think the benefits to both our car company and the environmental and the societal is very much worth it. We also mentioned earlier on about the overcapacity or the capacity of hybrid, either nickel metal hydride or lithium-ion batteries. It's true. It is a lot of pressure, and in fact, all of this incentivizing that we've seen at GM is we're seeing significant downward cost pressures on the suppliers of these batteries, whether they're full batteries or the cells. Something we didn't expect. It's accelerating the curve, the price down curve that everyone's been predicting. A lot of people, a lot of consultants making a lot of money these days trying to guess that curve and get it published to a lot of either governmental NGOs or even suppliers. But in our case, we've seen it already probably 3 to 5 years ahead of schedule where we thought the cost reduction would start coming in, specifically around the battery. Some of the other areas are still trailing. So let's talk to you a little bit about what we see as an OEM in this space. GM has got a lot of breadth and depth and width to it to really handle a full portfolio of electrification. In fact, we're doing that. We've decided many years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, to really ramp up our efforts in this, but we've really been playing since the EV1 back in the 1990s. But we think it's really important from an OEM perspective to offer the customers what they want, not try to pick one solution or one technology and give it to them. Just like engines of 4-cylinder 6s and 8s, transmissions with a number of speeds, there's got to be a lot of differentiation, whether it's in the cost side or on the feature or the benefit. So at GM, a lot of people do know, we've done a full portfolio all the way from the mild hybrids up through our 2-mode hybrid, which we're quite proud of for the last year in the marketplace. Plug-in hybrid vehicles, we have announced and unannounced due to some things with Saturn, what we're doing there. And one thing we're all very proud of and anticipating at GM, and I think a lot of places, the Chevy Volt, which will be coming out here later this year. The battery electric vehicle, GM is clearly looking at this. No announcements today or anytime soon, but we see there is a definite need in some environments, some cities, and we're actively working on the studying and understanding of that. And obviously, at the end of the electrification is the fuel cell vehicle, of which we've been in the marketplace for many years with different configurations. The thing to take away from this is if you're going to offer these different technologies or offer the different solutions, you got to make sure they're scalable because the market can change. The dynamics right now are amazing. For many, many years, hybrids and electric vehicles are really focused out of Japan. It started growing in North America, as we all know, around the turn of the century here. But within a matter of months, we've seen a dynamic and dramatic change in the requests, the interest, the appeal in Europe taking off. If you talk to the Europeans 2 years ago, it was diesel, 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 diesel. Don't talk to me about with anything with a plus and a minus on it. All I want is diesel. And literally within 6 months, the marketplace seems to be screaming on what's available for us. The other one, just 2 weeks ago, we saw the announcement in China about the final ruling on the incentivizing to the customer side, incentives to buy electric vehicles as long as they're in production before 2012. That has turned the industry over, the marketing, the supply base, a lot of demand being created. Literally within 2 weeks, phone calls ringing off the hook. And we feel at General Motors we're prepared for that because we can move this stuff around pretty quickly. Also, our supply base is diverse enough that we can do that. You know, but one of the things talking specifically about one of those on a pure electric vehicle, or even a plug-in, we really think it's got to be capable to be a primary vehicle. All the studies, everything we've seen, that if we're going to move into a high-volume manufacturing, it's got to be a fully capable, a primary vehicle, because right now people are not looking to buy 2 or 3 vehicles to have, one being an EV with some kind of a limited range. So at GM, one of the prime things we've looked at doing, as we know, is the Chevy Volt, which is going to be able to be a mass market, high-volume, demand-driven vehicle, and we're seeing the demand growing every day. With a range electric vehicle with a range extending capability. I won't go through the details of the Volt. I think everybody knows enough about its capability. I will tell you clearly though, the Volt is on track and we're pretty excited about it. In fact, the next couple of weeks are going to be really significant from the engineering side as we move into that manufacturing and start flowing parts and people into our production side of the business. It's going quite well. Through things like the Volt and many other applications of electric vehicles, it really is a trade-off, a balance. Probably 10 years ago, you didn't have to worry about pleasing the customer. It was really, how much fuel economy am I getting? What is the calculation I heard in the last panel? What's the payback? But we've seen now they're moving into a whole new phase of mainstream. It's kind of gone from a click to a club to a mainstream activity, and they don't want to give up. Customers don't want to give up. We're seeing this, we're hearing this, and they're giving us very strong feedback here in North America and probably soon in Asia. You got to balance the performance, the electrification, the durability, the packaging, the design, and at the same time is the demand for charge timing. Is fast charge going to take off? Is it DC? Is it AC? Is it 110 or 120, 240? How that's going to come in? The safety, very critical. It's got to be a given for the customers, the first responders, the technicians in the workplace. Obviously, what does the customer really want? And significant regulations that are developing around here. One of the things that a number of the OEMs are struggling right now is the rapid change to electrification, and the regulators aren't even really ready to test and label and certify some of these. We're working, the OEMs are working like we never have before with the regulating agencies to get labels determined, to get the test procedures determined. All those things are challenges that, it's just a given. You run your tests, you submit the data, maybe you get a test call to come in to audit your vehicle. But as you move in this electrification, how are you going to do it? How many cycles? Is it all EV? Is it going to be EV and gas? How do you work through that? A real significant challenge that we're seeing. There's going to be a lot of new categories defined in the propulsion area. Whether or not it's a plug-in hybrid, we're starting to hear and feel about those more. I'm not sure where the regulations in North America are going to go, if it's going to really recognize the benefit of a plug-in hybrid vehicle. There's some positioning right now that really will do a lot of harm to the label value of that. There's others that really want to expand the plug-in hybrid vehicle, and that's a challenge that we need to make sure the position and all the OEMs are how to reflect that. Obviously, from an electric vehicle or with extended range like the Volt, we got to make sure we have no concerns in the marketplace from the customers on availability of electricity. Everything we've seen, everything we've studied, researched, working with EPRI and other regulatory and utility agencies, no issues at all we see in the near term, but what is it going to look like in 2030? We're going to ramp up a whole infrastructure to support that. And obviously, a BEV with its limited range, we've got to be very careful on that as the companies move forward. There will be demand for electric vehicles, but literally today, the price of some of these electric vehicles, small electric vehicles, the battery alone costs 1 or 2 times the cost of the vehicle material cost. I mean, how do you make that business case work? It's unbelievable to see that kind of equation walking into your finance guys and say, please approve this. It really makes sense. You got to make sure you have the right application, the right battery for that, whether, as Prabhakar said, the technology, how much, what size the battery. We've seen significant increases in energy density, as it shows here. For the Volt, as an example, 75% less mass from where we were with the EV1, with the same amount of onboard energy, total energy of 16 kilowatt hours, 40% lower volume, and that's within about 10 years, or 10 to 15 years, we've seen that. How far can we go down? Do you take advantage of that by smaller batteries with less range, or do you take advantage of that energy density by putting as much battery?